welcome to episode 6 of the Live Motocross podcast. Joining me, Sophie McGinn, and our co-host, Darren Bartholomew. I don't know if he's there or is the internet gone again? Where's he at?
No, I'm here. I'm really looking forward to this one. I must admit, I'm having a bit of a... I follow this lad on Facebook and Insta, and he just has me in stitches all of the time. I think this is going to be a good one, to be fair. So really looking forward to this one.
Right, I'll let you intro him then.
Here we go then. Guys, really quality act coming on this week. I'm so pleased to introduce PGVM's Yamaha's Josh Spinks.
Hello, everyone.
That was a very formal intro.
I was going to say.
No, thanks very much for having me. I'm looking forward to it too.
No, I don't know if you can hear us all right. I don't know if you went a bit quiet there, but it sounds a bit like you're recording on a potato this week, Josh. I'm not going to lie.
Hopefully you can hear me. I've got an Apple Mac that's about 10 years old.
Cool. So, as you've probably gathered over the past few weeks, me and Darren have been quizzing all sorts of people on the Live podcast. And we wanted to bring you on because, one, you've got such a great social media presence and you're always doing loads of crazy stuff, but we'll get onto that in a bit. But we just wanted to chat with you about how you got started racing, bit of background really on Mr. Spinks.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I basically started riding when I was 3 years old, and that was thanks to my dad. I think it was a Christmas present or maybe a birthday present, but I got a little PW50 Yamaha, which is quite a standard way of getting into things. I had a red one. So that sort of kick-started things. And then as soon as I was old enough to race, at the age of 6, I started with CJMX, Coventry Junior Motocross Club. And like I say, it was a big family effort, really. My uncles rode. My granddad had a road bike. Both grandparents had road bikes. So I had no choice, really, just straight in.
And your brother also rides as well, doesn't he?
Yes. He got involved with it quite early on when he was on a 50. Did a little bit of racing on a 65. And then I just think he's seen a lot of the arguments between me and my old man. So he decided to put the boots away for a few years. And then he just recently had a bit of a comeback, just for fun, really. So
is he older or younger brother to you, mate? Just to remind us.
Yeah, he's younger. So it's his 18th birthday on Saturday, actually.
Wow. Okay. Oh no, not under COVID situation as well. That's not ideal, is it?
I know. Yeah, just the whole situation at the minute is just really strange. But yeah, to celebrate your 18th with your stepmom and dad isn't the best, is it?
No, I'm going to say I was drinking out my own shoe on my 18th, if I remember right. By the end of the night, mate, it's always. I suppose you could do that and get away with it, though. I suppose, but
well, yeah, they do these online parties now, don't they? But I've only just found out what Google Chrome is. So I don't know if I'm going to be good.
Oh dear.
So what were your sort of earliest memories with racing? And obviously, you started from the age of 6. Can you really remember much from that age?
Yeah, I remember the first race. I can't remember exactly what track, but I just got so scared. I got there in the morning all hyped up for it. Practicing was going well, and then I just rolled my eyes out, and I didn't want to actually get on the start line. So I remember the people that run Coventry Junior Motocross Club at the time actually gave me a trophy beforehand in order to get me on the start line. So I remember that quite clearly. And then they put a high,
God!
They put a high vis on me, and I think they actually joined the 50s and the 60 autos together at the time, and I think that's what was sort of on my mind, that I was racing bigger bikes. But I actually won the first race in the end. So first race.
You actually won your first race?
Yeah. There weren't many in it on the 50s. Like I said, they sort of mix you with the 60s. So there wasn't tons of 50s, but I did get the win. So that was a good start.
That's impressive. I was lapped about 3 times my first ever race. I almost threw my bike in the edge in the very first race. But
same.
That's impressive. That is, mate. I was throwing this toys out the pram, somewhat fierce in my first race. But well, it was obviously in the genes, mate. Even back then, it's just come naturally. And there's naturally gifted riders, and there's just people that work hard and are rubbish. But there we are. Ayo, that's more about me. So how was the evolution then, mate? Was you progressed through the schoolboy or youth category then? How did you progress from there then, from the step up from the PW50?
I stuck with CGMX for a few years until I got on a 65. And then that's when we decided to start doing the national championship, which was a bit of a rude awakening to start with, just with the caliber and how fast everyone was. But I don't know, it took me a few years to get my head around the nationals. And then when I started getting onto a small wheel, 85 is when I won my first national championship in 2005. And I repeated it on a big wheel in 2007 as well. So yeah, I just followed the standard sort of path, really. Get to the front of the club championship and then make the jump to the nationals and keep building on that.
So, Josh, just moving on from that, mate, obviously from I don't know about you, Soph, but he sounds so blasé about it, like it was no effort whatsoever, but we know it's different, which is obviously respect for that, but we know how difficult it is there. So what was the caliber of riders you were up against, mate? Who was your rivals then back in the day? Just drop a few names, mate, just to let us know what era.
Scott Elderfield, I don't know how, but I think he was always 1 or maybe 2 years in front of me. But yeah, he was the big name. And when we got onto the big bikes, there was sort of no touching him. I could never quite beat him. He was always that next level. But there was a lad called Sam Davies as well that doesn't ride anymore, but he was always really good to race with. There was 2 Worrell brothers that have gone into Speedway now. Just trying to think. There was always really good competition. It was one of those where probably 1 in 5 could win on the day, so the racing was always really, really close.
Scott's been a name as well that keeps getting brought up in this podcast quite a bit.
Yeah, 2 or 3 episodes now we've had that Scott's been, brought up, and such a naturally talented rider as well. I think it's just, we keep saying it's such a shame that he decided to retire when he did, but it's one of those, isn't it? We see this, and I think for you, mate, obviously you've been in this sport quite a long time now as well, and we see this quite a lot, that you can have a very easily naturally talented rider that does his schoolboy and youth career and basically either burns out or loses interest or anything like that. And I know you're quite involved in this now in coaching, and you've got your training school now up and running, and obviously with that, how does your experience and stuff, how do you feed back to your motocross coaching and stuff?
Like you say, if you follow me on social media and stuff, I only take serious what I need to. I make sure I do the work, and I encourage everyone that I coach to work hard and obviously listen and all this sort of stuff and put the work in. But I'm also a big believer in sort of having fun as well. Whether it is messing about on my trials bike or dancing around or whatever, I think you've got to enjoy what you're doing, and also not sort of get tunnel vision, because as important as the sport is to all of us, there's it's not the be all and end all. There's other things that happen. You've got to spend time with your friends and stuff. So I just try and create this sort of fun atmosphere, because like you say, burnout, I think it's for the people that are pushed too hard and take it maybe that little bit too seriously as well. So that's my sort of take on things. Like even with my coaching lads, I don't really BMX in my own time, but if we're going to somewhere like Mildenhall or something like that where there's a bit of a BMX track, I'll just pop my bike in and sort of join them as well. And they seem to really like that. Did you do any BMX nationals or anything like that, mate? Or is it just for fun that you go out on the BMX? Because I'm a big, I used to do the nationals before I got into motocross as well. So I never actually raced BMX. I used to do it all the time. My mum used to take me. every week. So I used to just hit the jumps more than anything, rather than actually racing on the circuits. But yeah, BMXing was a massive part of my childhood, and I had a lot of friends that were into it as well. So, but I also think that crosses over. If you do plenty of that at a young age, it's just being able to sort of maneuver the bike and, throw whips and endos and all that sort of stuff. I think it really helps when you do actually get onto a motocross bike.
Well, obviously, Gautier Paulin, for one, BMX world champion, that's how he came through with the progression and everything like that as well. So where did you go from there then? Obviously, we spoke about you going into the small wheel 85 class. Then where did you go? Were the hundreds about when you were racing then, or did you jump straight back up onto the 125? I mean, where did you go from there?
I had a 125. I think I got it in sort of October, so this would be the end of 2007. And I only stayed on it for a few months. I did the Wilden Lane Winter Championship on it. And then my dad opted to put me straight on a 250F. And then I continued to do the Nationals in the MXY2 at the time, which ran alongside the British. So, I don't know. That's maybe one thing I'd change slightly if I could do my career over again. Maybe have a full year on the 125. So I stuck with the BOMX National Championship, and we did the MXY2, which is obviously the main British Championship. I had a bit of success the first year. I won a couple of races. One was at Donington Park, which was an awesome circuit in the middle of the road race track.
I remember that. So good.
Yeah, just that track was me all over, really. Just sort of hard pack, tacky dirt with some big jumps. So that's one of the few races I've actually beat Scott at. I don't know if he had a little crash or a bad start or something, but that was one race where I managed to beat out of the field. So that one stands out. And then I think it was, just trying to link it all together, going into 2009, I'd obviously grown, put a bit more weight on, so I was ready for the 250F. But that's when I had one of my first sort of major injuries, which was a broken C7 neck vertebrae. So that happened.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that happened at quite a young age, which was quite scary. I'm trying to think how old I was then. Probably 16, just turned 16.
Oh dear, mate, that's not a good time to be doing stuff like that either, is it? That's
No, like I said, it's probably no good time. But I suppose at that age, you don't dwell on things and you don't read into things too much. So I think I just wanted to get back on my bike. Whereas if I was to do it now, you're thinking about all this time I have enough work and this, that, and the other. So maybe a younger age, if it was to happen, in hindsight, wasn't too bad. But it did affect me a little bit, my confidence. I almost took a bit of a back step with my riding and speed and all that sort of stuff. So a little hiccup quite early on in the career. But as soon as I could get back on and I was healthy, I was sort of back to it.
So what were your sort of more career highlights, would you say? What were your best moments as you were growing up?
It probably was focused around the 85 days, really. That's when I did a lot of winning, especially 2007. I was, I don't know, I was just gelling with the bike and stuff. So with the Nationals, and then since I've gone to professional, I haven't won a lot. I've won some races, British Masters and MX Nationals here and there, but I think when you're winning a lot, that's when I look back and what I'm probably remembered for a little bit more. Trying to think what else in my career I'm probably known for. Just being a general wally, I suppose.
No, mate, I think you've got that confused with fun. I think that is the big trouble there. I was looking back at some footage with you, and we were speaking about this on one of the previous podcasts, that at the two-stroke festival, you and Brad Anderson having an almighty duel. Can you remember much about that, mate? Or
yeah, so going into round 2, Dave Willett gave me a call and said, I've got a 252 stroke if you want to ride it. So no hesitation there. I was riding for KTM in 2018 anyway. So we jumped on that. the practice and qualifying is really short, so you only get 2 or 3 laps. But I remember just getting my head around it on the first lap, second lap, and then third lap probably put a time in, and I think it was over a second quicker than Brad for P1, which was a bit of a surprise. But I do believe, I don't know, something with a 2-stroke, I think I'll probably ride one better than a 4-stroke, if I'm honest, which obviously goes back to my 85 days and that brief period on the 125 as well.
Yeah.
When I had all my success. So I don't know, maybe it's time to jump back on a 2-stroke. But the racing for round 2 was just unbelievable with Brad. Just from the moment the gate dropped to the finish flag, we were just going at it. I was trying everything to make a pass, but Brad's super good at making a wide bike and is so aggressive, and he doesn't want to lose, which is amazing. He's a great racer. So yeah, out of the 5 races, 4 of them we was just side by side trying for a pass. I'd pass him, he'd slam it back under the inside of me, and yeah, it was just going at it. It was awesome racing.
But, I guess that's what we live for, though, mate. I mean, it's races like that you'll probably remember for a good long length of time, isn't it? When, you're dueling like that, every corner, just banging bars and that kind of thing. But, yeah, so that was obviously as close as 2018. Obviously, and then I know we kind of fast-tracked to 2018 now, but obviously then you went on to the EMX 250 ride that you got as well. So talk to us, how did that evolve? How did you come by the deal then? And, how did you get into the EMX 250 class? And, I mean, we'll go through your results in a minute if you don't dwell on them now, but you had a seriously good time in 2018.
Yeah, it's just a massive build up to 2018, really. Like you say, we've jumped a few years, but in short, maybe like 2013, I'd lost absolutely everything to do with racing and some family issues and no bike. It got stolen and no job, nothing. So how did I get to 2018? I just kept chipping away. It was Matt Smith at M. Smith Electrical that had picked me up in mid-2017 when a deal went pear-shaped with a Husqvarna ride. So yeah, we just, like I have through my whole career really, I just sort of put my head down in 2017 and progressed in the British Championship. We actually entered the first EMX at the end of 2017 at the last round in France. And because that was a success, I narrowly missed out on a podium because the conditions were really wet and I got stuck. But that's a different story. So for 2018, we made the plan together to just have a go at as many rounds as we possibly could. We knew we couldn't do the full championship, but I think we did 6, maybe 7 rounds. So yeah, it just sort of evolved as my speed and results improved in British motocross. We thought, what's the next step? We'll go in the EMX and see how we fare. So that's how it wasn't necessarily planned. It kind of just happened.
So how do you feel that what the jump was like going from sort of racing the British and then going into EMX? Did you feel it was quite daunting or not?
It's so strange because throughout my whole career, I've not been a great qualifier for lap times. So in the British Championship, my best qualifying that year in 2017 was probably outside the top 10. I'd probably guess around 12th to 15th place. The races were different. I could always get sort of towards the top 5. But in the EMX, which is definitely faster riders, you're running alongside the GPs and new tracks, this, that, and the other. And my first qualification at an EMX, I was P1. I was winning it all the way until the last lap when Rowan van der Moostijk hit me on the last lap. So I don't know. I don't know if it's because it was all new and I wasn't sort of looking at riders and thinking, he's usually quicker than me or this, that, and the other. It was like a fresh slate and a new experience. So I actually found it easier in a way in 2017. It was different in 2018 when I got to the first round in Spain, Red Sands, because I had to go to the LCQ. So it all come down and hit me. It was just a freak one in 2017. But the racing, especially in 2018, was just, I mean, you could ask Martin Barr, Mel Pocock, there was so many, even James Dunn, so many English lads in it. But the racing is just incredible because you've got a lot of young talent. Like I say, Rowan van der Moostijk, all these people that are in MX2 now doing the business. And then you had, seasoned riders, almost veterans like Martin Barr. You just had this massive concoction of really talented, fast riders. So, like I say, it is very different to the British Championship, but an amazing experience.
And obviously going into 2018 where you and Clarkey ended up, 1-2 at the British EMX GP. How was that? Because that must have been something else to be a part of.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mention Clarkey then. I should definitely have mentioned him with the veterans. I'm joking. But no, that race at Matterley, it gives me goosebumps now, really, because I didn't expect it from myself, and I don't think anyone expected it. But yeah, that first race, fair play to Clarkey, because he passed me earlier in the race, so he had a worse start than I had. He passed me, and he put an absolute charge on, obviously come on to win the race. But I kind of had a second wind just over half race distance, maybe 3/4 of the way through the race. And I started setting the fastest laps during that time, and I closed it up to I think there was only 2 seconds between me and Clarkey at the finish line, or 3 seconds. So Clarkey made the pass on the last lap, and I could see them just in front of me. I thought, if they tangle or, go down, it's mine, sort of thing. And I could see it all happening in front of me. But yeah, to get a third place finish in that first race was incredible, really. And then the second race, I was so confident. I thought, I can win this. But I don't know what happened. I think I was trying a little bit too hard and actually going that little bit slower. So I actually I dropped back a little bit to 8th, but it was good enough for second overall. So, it was always one of my goals after missing the podium in 2017 at that wet race in France. I was so gutted about that I just had to make sure that I got another one, and it came at Matterley. So it was amazing.
Yeah, because I can remember Swanee. I saw him at the GP, and he was crying and all sorts, wasn't he? There.
Yeah, he was. He was emotional. He's been there through the whole thing. Like I said, I've touched on it very briefly a minute ago about 13, when it was all falling to pieces, and I was about sort of done with it. I had no choice for racing from there. So he's been with me from that time, and we've progressed together, I suppose. That's why he's probably got so emotional over it. But
he'll thank you for that, I'm sure. So funny.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
One of the things, mate, I just wanted to pick up on there when you spoke briefly there about the qualification and stuff. I read on an interview there with you that one of the things that you did find, kind of strange, I guess, in a way, is one of the lads had come by you and just thought, oh my God, he's just like on another level. And then all of a sudden you came to the next corner and they were like out through the ropes and all sorts of things. It's not always a given that, especially when you said it like it was a complete surprise to you in that qualification race then, but like, when we see it all of the time, you get these guys and they're fast, don't get me wrong, in the straight line, but a couple of corners on, they're out through the ropes in the crowd, whatever. So it kind of don't really make sense, is it? Yes, they're fast, but they're not smooth like you are.
They're just young, dumb, and full of what. But like Brian Moreau especially, like I've never seen anyone ride a bike so fast, but so sort of loose. When he nails a lap, like no one can touch him. It's like that. Is it Brian Hogmer? Kevin Hogmer. They're two riders that are just incredible speed, but they're going to be on the ground 2 or 3 times during the race. It's just, but that's exactly what you said. There's some especially the young riders, they're just willing to hang it out and risk everything. Something that I've never been able to do.
No, well, there's a lot to be said for that, mate. You're obviously a bit more of a calculating rider than that. So, and then we obviously, it's kind of polar opposite, really, as it were. And then a little bit later on, obviously, you're there again, and then all of a sudden you break your ankle, and after things are looking so good.
Yeah, so I broke my ankle the first time at Matterley. The year after 2019, because they put the rule in that is it only under 23s now for the MX 250?
Yeah.
And I was 27 at the time, so obviously that screwed me up for that. So we thought, right, the only class I can go in is MX1. I obviously really like the tracks, one of my favourites. So we thought, let's give a first GP a go. And it was going awesome until the qualifying race, where I think I was sat in about 17th, 18th, which I was happy with, and I was riding quite, like you say, calculated, smooth. I wasn't really losing any more time or positions, and then my front wheel just washed, and yeah, the ankle sort of twisted as I put my foot down, and that was enough to break it. And I've not raced since because I've had so many little issues. That's, that how many months ago is that now? 14, 15 months. And I haven't been behind the start line since. So, yeah, it come crashing down just a little bit.
Yeah, but obviously sometimes that is a big motivator though, mate. And sometimes you have time off the bike, and then you appreciate it when you do come back. You just think, right, okay, this is what I'm meant to be doing. This is what I'm good at. And it just gives you that extra determination, doesn't it, to just... And kind of brings us nicely, Soph, into kind of section 2, really, and about 2020 in general, and working towards a future and your plans for 2020. Obviously, everybody can see, and for guys out there listening, you really need to get onto Josh's Instagram page and things like that, and just have a look at the pure beauty of that PGVM Yamaha. There's a couple of bikes that I'm really keen on at the moment. One is the Apex KTM UK machine, all black and stealthy. And the other one is your bike that I've absolutely fell in love with. So how did that come about, mate? Just give us a background. Obviously, you're with Paul Grimshaw, Vehicle Movements Yamaha race team this year. How did you get together with those guys then to tie up this year?
So Paul has helped me as a private sponsor since the start of 2018. So while I was doing all the EMX stuff and whatnot, he was a private helper. And then, like I say, 2019 with a broken ankle, and there's a lot of stuff that's probably better off not said, but I ended things with the M Smith. I was on the Yamaha last year, but we ended things there, and I had a chat with Paul, PGVM, and just said, look, do you reckon we can set something up for ourselves? So it was as simple as that, really. As soon as he agreed to it and we made some plans, that's where I went. And Paul, he has got a good understanding about motocross, but he's never sort of managed a team or been fully hands-on before. So the agreement was that he's happy to run it, but I've got to be more hands-on, make decisions, obviously get the sponsors on board, and even stuff like you said, I'm really happy that you like the bike, because that's something that I sort of designed with the graphics and choosing to make it black. And Paul really likes the gold wheels, which is obviously really retro. So as soon as we committed to getting them sort of wheels, I thought, how can we make this work as good as possible? So that's how it come about, really. Some things weren't going quite to plan within the team in 2019. So as soon as there was an option for an alternative with Paul, we just went full in on it. So yeah, that's how it came about. Unfortunately, obviously, we haven't got things going properly just yet, but the bikes are sat there looking all pretty, and the sponsors are on board.
It's certainly pretty, mate. I'll give you that.
There. Yeah, and I'm just really happy, even with like a Pico and the kit that I'm wearing this year, with the RI helmets and stuff. I just feel really sort of protective, and I think everything looks really good and good quality. So I'm really excited once we can finally get going.
Oh, good. So obviously, I see online that you do a lot of training sort of each day, always out cycling, bits and bobs. And you went out to America riding and stuff at the start of the year. What goes into your training and prep for, doing these British races?
Yeah, it's all about consistency, I think, what I've learned over the years. I must be honest, like, I've never been able to train as much as I have done in this sort of quarantine isolation, because I've always worked. I've built up a coaching and tuition sort of business, which has got busier and busier over the past couple of years. So that takes up a lot of my time. So I'm usually having to squeeze in the sort of training and my own riding in between. But I think getting the consistency, and like you say, with motocross, there's so much involved. Cycling, you need a good sort of endurance base. You need core strength, flexibility. I've got into yoga just that little bit more. So yeah, from the outside, unless you've been involved with the sport, it's very hard to understand how much actually goes into it. It's crazy to think how many hours go into sort of training and riding to make yourself ready for the races. Has it glitched up again, Soph?
We're all right.
I don't know if...
No, it's all right. I just
got Darren,
ducked out then for a sec, but we're back in the room. So just picking off there, mate, and from the information that you've given us, and all of the stories that you're telling us through your career so far as well, there's been obviously a couple of times where you've just fallen off the wagon a little bit. Obviously, as you said, having your bike stolen, all that kind of thing, and how to, affecting you mentally and things like that. And then obviously breaking ankle just recently and stuff like that. For any of the kind of the younger riders coming through, and even some of the amateur guys out there as well, how do you, and I know you probably go into this with your training school and things like that, but how do you mentally prepare yourself to come back after all of these big, kind of episodes that you've had, mate? Because, I mean, that's life in general at the moment. I mean, this COVID-19 thing, as you say, you're training your butt off properly, like I have. I've had much more time on the bike and stuff like that while this has been going on. But for anybody else out there listening, how do you recover from something like that? Sorry, mate. I do this on the spot stuff.
No. It's. I think if you're doing it for the right reasons, if you have a period of time off, you have no choice but to come back. Does that make sense? I think it should be quite a natural thing. So I don't think you should have to work too hard. If you love it and you want to sort of put your time into it and achieve, you're just going to get back on it regardless. So motivation-wise, I don't know if I can answer that properly, because for me, it just comes quite naturally. I just want to get back to things as soon as possible, because you're working towards something. So any of these little blips, it's just a minor little hold up, and then you get back to it. I suppose just remember why you got into it in the first place, because life sucks without it.
And speaking of this is true. Just speaking about your training school a little bit as well, I notice you've got a little girl that you coach as well, Olivia. She is coming on leaps and bounds at the minute from what I've seen.
Yeah, Olivia is special. When I first met her and the family, I think that was 2018 as well. And she'd only been riding just over a year or something like that. She won't mind me saying this, her parents won't mind me saying this, but she was quite dangerous. She was happy to sort of whack the throttle open, but just not a lot of knowledge with sort of technique, and she's quite overly aggressive and legs flailing around and this, that, and the other. So as soon as we agreed to obviously get going with the coaching and some fairly regular sessions and stuff, as soon as we tidied things up, got a grip in with her legs, and working on the technique, it's all sort of just fell into place, and she's progressing every time I see her, which is amazing. But yeah, she's definitely one to watch.
And I think you could say that in generally, and probably one of the mindsets that you have with the training school, mate, is the fact that, and you see it in road racing, MotoGP, wherever, you've got these guys that are so, both guys and girls, that are so fast. And like, for you as a coach, you can't, all right, you can to a degree, but you can't coach somebody to be that fast. You've got to have it naturally, or some instinct into going fast in the first place. If they crash their brains out for the first few years or whatever else, you as a coach can actually enhance them and stop them from crashing and becoming a better rider. Would you say that's probably fair?
Yeah, no, 100%. There is riders where, again, I'm not going to name anyone, but they've got such a perfect technique, but they haven't, like you say, got that bit of aggression, a bit of fire to get the most out of it. So I agree with what you said. If you've got the speed, the aggression, the no fear, and then you can learn to ride a bike properly, I think that's what can take you quite far. I didn't, like, through my schoolboy and stuff, I've always, you said it earlier, just sort of quite smooth. I don't really put many wheels wrong or anything like that. I've kind of not quite had the aggression I perhaps needed to just push it that little bit more. I am working on it, like, over the past sort of few years, and I have become, I think when I rode the 250 with the EMX in them sort of races, that just gave me that a bit more aggression. So now that I've gone back on the 450, I think it's working out a little bit better for me. So I fully agree with what you said.
Yeah, well, to be fair, mate, your style is like on point. You know, every time I see your trackside, I just think, yeah, this boy's on it. So fair play for that. But just coming off the back of that, I was just about to say, what do you take out of your training schools? What is the highlight for you? Do you come away and think, oh, do you know what, that is, you know, I've made them a little bit quicker? What do you take from your training schools when you walk away at the end of the day and you have a rethink about it? Is it?
Yeah, just like you say, seeing any progression as small or as big as the improvement is on the day, that feels amazing because you've made a difference. You know, if you get some positive feedback after it, which you hope to, and they thank you and tell you how they feel and how much better they are, then it just makes you feel awesome. Like I say, I coach all ages, but when I'm with the sort of younger riders, being able to just act myself and be able to sort of be on their level and have fun with them and have a laugh and this, that, and the other, I think they're my funner days when I've got a group of sort of young riders. Like I say, getting the BMX out and just having a laugh. So, yeah, I always leave the day just feeling satisfied and just really enjoy each day.
Did you, back in your early days, I know we're recapping a bit now, but back in your early days then, did you have a mentor or did you have to do everything off your own back, or did you have somebody that you looked up to and possibly spent some time with you, showing you lines or anything like that, or did you have to do it all yourself, mate? Just wondering, when you're saying going back to the coach.
I didn't have any sort of tuition. I think my first tuition coaching day I had was with Stefan Everts, which was obviously a good one. But that
as a name drop.
Yeah, that's when he finished his career and signed up with KTM, and they did like a dealer day at Tony Motor, which was an awesome track, obviously years ago, 2008, I think that was. But prior to that, no, just my dad. He reached a fairly good level. Sort of AMCA was a big championship at the time. He got into the experts maybe and did a bit of enduro. So he had the basic knowledge. He used to talk about line choice and sort of working with the track a lot when I was younger. So I was always sort of good with that side of it. But since I've been coaching, I almost coach myself as well. I feel like I've improved more in the past 5-6 years than I have, prior to that. I think it's all happened quite quickly. and recently, just because I'm more aware of techniques and stuff.
Yeah, almost like practice what you preach type thing, really. It just brings it back to you that, actually, sometimes you do have to go back to basics, to give you that,
Yeah, 100%. And it's awesome because the sport's evolving as well. Sort of everyone's talking about feet position on the foot pegs and all this sort of stuff to be light on your feet, because you got people like Prado that just make everything look really effortless. And it's amazing now how the sport's sort of changing. And back to when I was younger and my dad was coaching me, I was on 85s and stuff. No one cared what part of the foot they was using on the foot pegs, if you know what I mean. But I've completely lost track of what we was talking about.
In that case, then, talk me through these trial videos that you and your girlfriend have been putting online recently.
The ones that Clarky loves.
Yeah.
I cannot sit still. So this isolation, I was never going to be sort of on the console, PS4 or anything like that. Well, I'm still living with my mum at the moment, and we've not got a sort of big garden. It's just a standard sized garden. But next door neighbours, they've got horses, and they've got like a paddock that go all the way around the back. So I think it was the first day, as soon as he announced that it was isolation, I tapped the door, which I probably shouldn't have done. And just asked, I stood 2 meters away, but I asked if I could use the trials light on their paddock, and they said, yeah, no problem. I said, I'll only use it a couple of hours a week, which I have. And then I just got carried away and got the shovel out and built jumps, and there's jumps that are crossing over other jumps, and got the strimmer out the attic and trimmed all the hedges, and me and the girlfriend have been hacksawing all the little trees down. I've made a right facility now, so...
all I saw was you had a pair of her leggings on the other day. That's all I seen.
Well,
again, just getting carried away. Really, I didn't think, right, I'm going to make a trials series. I just got a few clips gooning around, and then people were finding it quite funny, and then made another one, and then there was the I forgot the name of it now. That film. It's my favourite film. How have I forgot? Cool Runnings.
Cool Runnings is absolute quality, mate.
I watch it. Yeah, it is my favourite. I watch it a couple of times every single year. And I just thought I could probably remake that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
We went on eBay and they've got the full sort of Cool Runnings costume, stuck that on. And then I think all it took was for someone to comment on the video. I think I put a video of me and my girlfriend was just prattling around in the rain. It, like a hailstorm come down. And I think someone commented saying, don't think about wearing what your missus has got on or something. And that just tells me that I've got to do a video.
I've got to do it.
Yeah, so that's where that one came down. But yeah, so with the trials, it's just keeping me occupied and just having some fun. It's the closest thing I can do to motocross at the moment.
Well, you say having fun, mate, but honestly, bike control and the skill level set that you've got is obviously, well, if you haven't seen it, guys, you need to get on his Insta and have a look. That I could never do that. I mean, he's doing stoppies downhill, goon riding in the best way ever. But like, you've got to be a very, very good rider to even pull that off, mate, as well, to be fair. So do you think that honed your skills on the motocross bike, or?
Yeah, I got into trials quite a few years ago now, probably, 2014 at a guess. But again, that's kind of the period where I think my riding's progressed. And I think a little bit of that is into trials, because there's so many things, like you said, just sort of control on the throttle. You're constantly trying to find grip, clutch control. Things are at a little bit more of a slow pace. So trials, if I had, or when I have a kid, I would scrap the whole 50cc riding and stick them on a trials bike.
Yeah.
From the start, yeah.
Just to get bike control.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, sort of feeling like, say, the use of a clutch even. So throttle control, balance, all these things, and then I think onto a 65. That's how I do it. Maybe a little bit different, but I think, like I say, I just really believe that trials helps with the riding, 100%.
Did you run past your neighbour then that you were going to build great big massive holes in her paddock area at all, or did you not tell her about that?
No, I didn't tell her. I just did it. I built one, gave it a few days just to see if anything was said, and then built another one. And then I got to the point where it was obvious what I was doing, and I just thought, nothing's been said. I'm just going to crack on.
But as well, mate, there's one of the videos there as well when you're just pancaking the trials bike. I mean, how'd you work that with such a low bike? I mean, I'm not particularly good on a trials bike, whatever, mate, but that's got to be difficult, surely, to God. On a motocross, or at least you've got the bike underneath you, you can feel it. But on a trials bike, that must be.
That when I was doing that, and I always get the missus to take pictures of me and stuff just so I can have a little look. But no, it just reminded me of BMX days. That's what I used to do on a BMX. It goes right back to then. Obviously, you've not got a big wide seat underneath you on a BMX, so it's quite similar to trials. And the trials bike obviously weighs a lot less than a motocross bike as well, so you can. I'm just making it out to be a bit easier than it probably is, but.
Oh, you are.
It just reminds me of a bit more mountain bikey sort of BMX days. So just throwing it back to that.
Live in the moment till I die. And I'm gonna chase it. And I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it. No matter how hard we try.
So I reckon then from this point we should probably roll into the Q&As because we've had a ton sent in this week.
Josh, you are a popular guy, mate, and obviously with your presence on social media and getting yourself out there in the very beginning, we've probably had one of the biggest questions hoard that we've had so far, haven't we? So far.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Right then, you're probably going to know.
I was going to say that's nice to know.
You're probably going to know a few of these people that have sent bits in. So I'm just going to call them as I see them, if you like. So this was from Craig Chamberlain.
Yeah.
And he said, has Callum Swan got the best bum whip you've ever seen?
100%. I tell you what, it's a really funny story. He did travel in Marshall at Preston Docks. Might have been like a British Masters or something, and they've got a massive tabletop there where everyone watches. So you picture this, he's got his high vis on, just track marshal. Obviously, usually when that happens, everyone goes really slowly, just checks the track's clear. But he was just hitting this tabletop again, absolutely sideways. But the thing is with Callum, he doesn't always get it back. So he really throws his bum out there, and then sometimes lands a little bit crossed up as well. So yeah, he's funny. Definitely one of the best.
10 out of 10 for commitment, then I'll give him that.
Mind you, Chamberlain can't say anything. I don't know if you've seen him doing that dance. Have you seen him do that dance this week? He can't talk about anybody.
I'll have a look.
Oh, mate, you've got to have a look. It's legendary. It's scary and it's wrong on every level, but it's fair play to him. Right.
So question 2, this is from Matt Wayne, and he said, what's your favourite motocross memory and why? We've probably hit this somewhere in the podcast already, but...
Yeah, I'm torn between two. I've probably got to go with the whole Matterley podium at the EMX. I've never felt so good in myself after a race weekend. It lasted for quite a few days, just on a massive high, so that's probably stands out the most. Matterley base in 2018. Yeah.
Not surprised.
What was your second one? Sorry, just going off the back of that. You had 2 there. You said what would be your second one?
Yeah, the second one would be wrapping up the national championship in 2005. Obviously, my dad was there at the races with me, and I just remember coming around on the last lap, and I don't know if we had a pit board or all my family was sort of stood together, and everyone was so pumped about it. Also,
Oh,
that
amazing.
really stands out, and that was 2005. So that's obviously quite distant now, but I remember it like it was yesterday. So yeah, that would be the second.
Brilliant.
Oh, that's cool.
It is cool.
So next one from Lance Moose, I think his surname's pronounced. He says, "Hi Josh, who do you consider to be the better athlete, an enduro rider or a motocross rider?"
So different. I know I've not really done a ton of enduro riding myself, but obviously the fitness levels and the amount of riding they do, you've got to appreciate the fitness. Also the terrain that they ride on as well, obviously in and out of trees at that speed. Whereas motocross, it's all you just got that intensity, haven't you, of hanging it out a little bit more and the speed and hitting big jumps and stuff. I'm going to have to side with the motocross, just because I know more about it. So hopefully I didn't offend him, but I'd say there's not much between them, but the motocross, the intensity and 40 riders going into that first corner and stuff, I don't think there's much that can replace that.
No.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
when we spoke about that Ando yourself battle that we had, wasn't Johnny Walker in that race as well?
Yeah, Johnny, he rode the 150, obviously heavily backed from KTM and Red Bull, so that was cool to see him there. A nice guy as well, a really nice guy. I'm not sure where he finished. I think he was maybe 6th, 7th or something, so he did quite well.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, really, really good at what he does.
So we'll roll on to the next one because we've got quite a few to get through. Another question from Matt Jones. Which is your favourite track on the British circuit? This probably means British calendar. Any tracks you miss and should be given another go?
I definitely miss the Donington track we were talking about. From where my mum lives now at the moment, that is literally under 10 minutes drive away. So I miss that for many reasons. It'd be cool to do some practicing there. And I'd say one of my favourite sort of tracks with the ground and jump. So I miss Donington. Be great to see that come back, even though I can't see it.
What about Mallory as well? Did you manage to get much time there?
Yeah, Mallory was another local at the time. Again, a great track. They had a few GPs there and a couple of British Championships. So definitely Donington and Mallory I'd like to see back. But my favourite current track at the moment, it's got to be Desert Martin. There's no other track like it. Yeah, it's just there's always sort of you get to the top of the big hill near the start when you just drop down, and every year I just take the same picture, which I don't know why because it never changes. But it's just amazing when you're up there what you can see and how the track's all carved out, and just amazing to ride that place.
I think that'll be on the top of the list for many rider, I should think, mate. To be fair, it's like the iconic. I mean, if you could build a track like a couple of fields down from your house, that would be something like that, wouldn't it, for sure?
Amazing, yeah. And that's where I had my first Max's podium as well in 2018. So
that's
obviously
cool.
gel with it then.
Yeah.
Well. It'd be great to see that back and up to its former glory.
So next one from Charlie Gibson. He seems to be sending a question in each week now, I've noticed. Best bike / team you've ridden for?
Obviously I haven't actually raced on the current setup, but how everything's feeling at the moment, we've got the bike amazing. Suspension's working well, great people with Paul at PGVM, so that's good. But if we're talking about a sort of season that's already happened, I'd have to go with the Verd Sports KTM in 2015.
Yeah.
Just awesome. Really, it's the first time I had sort of aftermarket suspension through my whole career. So I got really comfortable with that bike. Nothing was an issue. We had everything that we needed to go out there and race and do really well on. So definitely the Verd Sports KTM was awesome.
Defo. And also we'll probably round this up as the final one, so we're not asking you too many. In fact, we've got Mr. Clark's one after this, to be fair.
I was going to say, you've got to bring that one up.
Yeah, so this one's just a random one off Instagram, and they said, we saw you out training in America. Who did you go with, and what was your experience like? Because I think they're looking for a holiday.
Oh, the actual. I was going to list my friends that went with me. That's what he meant. So it means the ride in the package that I went with.
Yeah.
It was Free PMX, Free Palms MX. They're quite new. They've only just set up. I think it was last year. But they're in Temecula. They've got a lovely house. It's almost like a mini mansion. They've got the swimming pool. The bikes are top notch. Situated in a really good place near Cahuilla. I'm sure you've rode there at some point, Sophie, as well.
Yeah, a lot. Did a lot of laps around that place. It's my favourite.
Yeah, so they're really close to that track. So I went out with them in October with my girlfriend for my... How old was I, Katie? I was 27.
I knew that, mate. I was going to help you out there. Even I knew that.
She's just in the other room. So we went out in October with the same people, 3PMX, and then I got a load of my friends together to watch Anaheim 1, which they obviously offer that on their package as well. So, yeah, give Luke Santos, his name is, a message at 3PMX and send it.
Awesome. Now, right, I am taking no responsibility for this question whatsoever. This is Mr. Clark's input. And he has asked, yeah, you don't need to be. If you had to swap girlfriends with one rider in the British Championship, who would it be?
Can I just say this out loud to Katie before I answer?
Yeah.
Katie, Stephen Clark has asked me if I had to swap girlfriends with anyone, who would it be? You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to make it really easy for myself. Tommy Searles, missus.
Oh, fair play.
Oh.
Sophia.
I heard that, Katie.
Yeah. To be fair, there's probably a few riders in the paddock are just thinking the same thing, to be fair, because she's lovely and she is beautiful. There's no two ways about it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to go to their wedding and stuff, and I've got to know Tommy quite well over the past couple of years. So,
did I see you doing the worm, mate, at his wedding? Was that, or was I dreaming that?
Yeah, it got out of control. Me, Callum, and then Sam Davies that I was talking about
earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, he was there, and I hadn't seen him for years and years and years. So. Yeah, so many things happened that night. We took over the live band. Callum was on the piano, I think. I was on. Was I on the piano? Someone was on the mic, and we did that. And then the dance floor, someone spilt a drink, so they had the cones out. And I wormed across the dance floor and broke the cone. But then me and Callum was using the broken cone as like a surfboard.
Oh my God.
You know, it was going crazy. And then it was around Christmas time and we went outside, a bit of a yob act actually. I went outside and there was Christmas trees and I just slung one of them around and it was, pretty hectic, but awesome. Like Tony Caroli was there. The Lowe's brothers, it was just amazing.
I was going to say, mate, that sounds like hell of a night, that is it. But is that your party trick then, mate, the worm? Is that your best?
Yes, Callum's good at it as well. For a bigger boy, he can sling himself around. So we it's like the trademark thing. We do it together.
So there we go. Clarky, I hope that's answered your question.
Well, to be fair,
it was a pretty good answer.
It was a good answer. And he didn't dither like Clarky did he? He wriggled and squirmed and all sorts over that one So yeah, fair play to you, mate. And you know, you're probably going to get the wrath of Katie when she's off, but there you go.
No, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. I don't know what Tommy will make of that, but he
Well,
can't fault me.
I should think he'd be flattered, mate. I would have thought.
He won't listen anyway. He's too busy.
Okay, so got a quick fire round, which is a new part of the podcast. Okay, so what's going to happen is I am going to give you 5 questions and you have to give me your first answer that pops into your head, all right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so first one, 2-stroke or 4-stroke?
2-stroke.
Yamaha or Suzuki?
Yamaha.
Matley Basin or Fox Hills?
Matley Basin.
250 or 450?
450.
Carol Baskin or Joe Exotic?
Carol Baskin.
Oh, no, you didn't!
No.
Well, I dressed up as it. I am it.
Yeah, but you can't be
It's
on
me.
her team.
I am her. That's just because of the trials video. When I actually watched it, I really hated the woman, to be honest with you.
Well, there you go then. I'll let you off with
No,
that
okay,
one.
mate. Fair enough.
So I think that'll round up our quick fire part of the podcast this week. Darren, I don't know if you want to add anything else in?
No, we're all good. We've got an extra couple of. There's a couple of. Is that a competition that you're running there? Is it so for?
Yes. So what's going to happen is, listeners, you've got a chance to win some Live Motocross goodies over the next couple of weeks. So what I want you to do is, I'm going to ask you a question about Josh, and you guys need to put your answer into the iTunes comment box. So what that will do is it will give you a chance to write as many entries as you want. The winner will be picked at random who has got the correct answer, and then you'll win some goodies over the next week. So the question is, we've talked about it quite a lot on the podcast.
Josh has said the same thing himself as well. Yeah.
Yep, definitely. So the question is, what year did Josh get on the podium at MXGP and what position? So this will be the EMX 250. So if you want to enter, make sure you add it into the iTunes review box. And that way we'll be picking a winner out in the next week.
There we go, guys. Something to look forward to and a bit of fun for this week coming up. And I think we should just say, I mean, Soph, we've been inundated and absolutely humbled by the amount of follows and stuff that we're getting now. It's really quite humbling, isn't it? I mean, it's, we love doing it and it's great. I mean, the story to say, we knew he was going to be an absolute star and really loads of funny stories and stuff like that for us. But thank you so much, mate, for taking the time. We're hoping to see you trackside and get some racing underway. Hopefully it's looking potentially June-ish with a bit of luck. But we're really looking forward to seeing that PGVM Yamaha, as tricky it is, trackside as soon as possible, mate. And we'd just like to wish you all the best for this year and hope you have a safe one, mate. And thank you for being such a really, really good guest, mate. Thank you so much.
Not a problem, and thanks very much for including me in this as well. You're both doing an amazing job. And hopefully, like I say, at the track soon and we can all get our heads down and get back to normality. So really appreciate the kind words.
That's it. Well, thanks a lot again, Josh. Don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes, Acast and Spotify so you don't miss an episode of the Live Motocross podcast. We'll see you again next week.